what are you trying to do to your brother?
Kill him. Kill John and Mommy with him and Daddy.
Beth Thomas was a 6-year-old girl whose story shocked the entire America. Beth recounted disturbing events from her short life, including attempts to harm her younger brother and plans to kill her parents. Doctors diagnosed Beth with reactive attachment disorder. This condition can occur when young children experience severe abuse or neglect, preventing them from forming healthy bonds with parents. In Beth's case, her concerning behaviors were understood as a response to early trauma. Tim and Julie, a couple unable to have their own children, adopted Beth when she was 19 months old. They also adopted her 7-month-old brother, Jonathan. The couple likely didn't fully understand the challenges they would face.
Jesus couldn't have lived to save Israel, yet he chose to die to save the world.
Tim is the minister of a small Methodist church in the South. He and his wife, Julie, have been married for 12 years. Unable to have children of their own, they decided to adopt. In February of 1984, they received a call from the Department of Social Services telling them they had 2 children available for adoption. They were told that Beth, 19 months old, and her brother Jonathan, 7 months old.
We did not need children to make our lives complete. We felt secure in ourselves and secure in our relationship, but we wanted to share that with somebody else, and we felt like we had a lot to pass on to a child, and that was what we really wanted to do. And when the phone call came, it was like, at last it's here.
The adoption process moved quickly, surprising Tim and Julie. As Julie recalled,
it seemed like a miracle. It had happened so quick. We'd heard of couples having to wait 5-10 years on a child, and here we had 2 young children. It was like the answer to our dream.
Tim and Julie were initially informed that the children were normal and healthy. However, the reality proved far more complex. Soon after the adoption, the couple found the children's difficult history. Beth and Jonathan had endured severe neglect in their early lives. Their living conditions before adoption had been extremely poor. Beth had suffered sexual abuse at the hands of her biological father. Jonathan, having spent most of his early months confined to a crib, faced developmental challenges. Tim described the children's background.
We had the kids with us, Beth and her younger brother John, for probably a couple of months until we began to learn something about their background and their past. And when we learned it, some things seemed to fall in place about her behavior and John's behavior. From several sources, we discovered that they didn't have enough food to eat. That perhaps even Beth went all day maybe with just a box of Kick cereal. John himself was found in a bassinet with little patches of urine all over it and a dirty diaper and a couple of bottles at his feet that had curdled milk, and the back of his head was completely flat. The front of his head had bulged out, and at 7 months he couldn't raise his head, couldn't roll over. He was just had no stimulation, and we think perhaps that had happened to Beth.
As Beth adjusted to her new home, she began displaying deeply troubling behaviors. These were far beyond typical childhood issues and indicated severe emotional disturbance. These behaviors included hitting, kicking, using pins to prick others, and inappropriate touching. Beth also engaged in self-harm and public masturbation. Julie recounted a disturbing incident.
She started to masturbate at inappropriate times. I remember one time, specifically, when we were at the hospital waiting for Tim to come out. He was there visiting, and Beth and John were in the back seat, and I turned around, and she had her legs spread and was masturbating in a public parking lot. And I had tried to explain to her numerous times before that that's private area. You don't do it in public places, and gone over that with her, and it never seemed to faze her.
Tim and Julie reached out for professional help. They consulted Dr. Ken McGeed, a clinical psychologist with expertise in treating abused children. During a recorded session with Dr. McGeed, Beth spoke about her violent thoughts and actions. Her calm demeanor while describing these disturbing violent thoughts and actions.
Who's afraid of you, Beth?
John.
Your brother. And why is your brother afraid of you?
Because I hurt him so much.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And at nighttime, what do your parents do to your door?
Lock it shut.
Why do they lock it shut?
Because they don't want me to hurt John.
Right. And they're kind of afraid of hurting John? Of you hurting John?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are they afraid that you might hurt them?
Yep.
Beth's lack of empathy was evident as she discussed her desires to harm her family.
When would you do it?
Nighttime.
Okay. Why would you do nighttime?
Because I don't like them seeing me do it. But they can feel me do it.
Mm-hmm. And what would you do to him, Beth?
Stab them.
Okay. What would you stab him with?
A knife.
Who else would you like to stick pins into?
Mommy and Daddy.
What would you like to have happen to them?
Die.
Tim and Julie were happy to adopt Beth and Jonathan at first, but they soon faced tough challenges. The children had deep emotional issues from their difficult past. Over time, Tim and Julie learned that Beth and Jonathan had been mistreated and not cared for properly before the adoption. Beth's nightmares provided insight into her traumatic past.
Tell me about your birth father. What was that nightmare like?
When he touched my vaginas
Okay.
until it bled, hurt it a lot until it bled, and wouldn't feed me a lot. He'd hit on me, wouldn't be very nice to me.
How old were you?
1.
And in your nightmare, what happens?
I get real scared.
Where are you in the nightmare? What happens in the dream?
I'm in the house, upstairs.
And then what happens, Beth?
When he comes upstairs and, hurts.
How do you feel when you talk about this?
Scared. Like,
Where's your birth father? What's he doing?
he's right there, and there's his hand. His hand's right there.
Where?
Right there. You can't hardly see it because it's green.
What's it touching?
My vaginas.
And what is your birth father doing?
Hurting it.
The repercussions of Beth's early abuse manifested in her behavior towards her brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is his private parts?
Penis and butt.
Mm-hmm. And what do you do with your brother, with his private parts, Beth?
I heard it.
Tell me about it. What do you do?
Well, I pinch it. Squeeze it. Kick it.
When you do things to your brother's private parts, what does he say?
Stop.
Okay, tell me that.
Well, he says stop, but I don't stop.
Do you hurt him?
A lot.
Okay. And would you like to do that to other boys?
When I caught her with Jonathan one morning, she was molesting him. He was crying and his pants were down, and I said, Beth, what's happening? And she said, I pulled his penis and put my finger up his anus. And I said, didn't he say to stop? And she said, yeah, he did. And I said, did you? And she said, no.
Beth's aggressive behavior extended to animals as well.
And what do you do to the animals, Beth?
Stick them with pins.
Do you stick them a little bit or a lot?
A lot.
What are you trying to do to the animals, Beth?
Kill them.
What do they do when you stick them with the pins?
Well, Annie cries. She's a dog.
Julie described an incident with baby birds.
She got baby birds down out of the nest, and we thought maybe she was just curious. So we explained that she could hurt them, put them back, and went through a whole sitting down and talking to her about the problem of it. And the next day we went out to check the baby birds, and they were on the ground dead with their necks broken.
When questioned about the baby birds, Beth showed little remorse.
Let's talk about what happened once when you were smaller, when you found some baby birds in a tree. What did you do then?
I took them out.
Mm-hmm. And what did Mom say to you?
That the mother will not come back if somebody touches her baby.
Mm-hmm. Are the baby birds kind of small? Can you describe them for me?
Well, they don't have their eyes open, but they can hear me, and they look up.
Are they kind of helpless? Little baby birds? Can they fly?
No.
Can they run away?
Yes.
They can? Are they easy to catch or hard to catch?
Hard.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to remember. With the baby birds, what did you do?
Took them out of the tree.
And what did you do with them?
Played around too rough with them. Also, when at the end, I picked it up and I thought it was Dad, and I came to say, Mommy, is this bird dead? And she said, she called Daddy and said, Tim, and Daddy came and, I think I remember that they said yes.
Mm-hmm. And so did the little baby birds die?
I don't know.
You don't remember?
I just remember that I remember that Mommy and Daddy saying the last bird we got was dead.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what Mom said to me? She said that all of them were dead. Did you squeeze them? Did Baby Beth squeeze them? You're doing a good job, honey. Go ahead and tell me what happened.
I squeezed them.
And what happened?
They died.
Beth's violent tendencies escalated to the point where she began hiding kitchen knives in her room. Julie described her suspicions.
Well, I noticed several, like paring knives in the kitchen, missing. And my first thought was Beth. And I felt a little guilty about it at first. I thought, nah. But I really didn't even mention it to her. They had been gone several weeks. She was sitting at the table drawing and mentioned to me, what do those knives look like that are gone, Mom? And I said, what knives, Beth? And she said, weren't they kind of silver and about this big? And I knew then, and then this little smile that's not a sweet smile, but a malicious type of smile. And I knew then, I thought, she's got them.
When confronted about the missing knives, Beth responded with a chilling smile.
Tell me about the knives. Where did you get them?
From the drawer.
And where else? Do you remember?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about it.
I got them from the dishwasher.
What kind of knives?
Big sharp ones.
And what do you want to do with those knives?
Kill John and Mommy with them, and Daddy.
The situation at home became increasingly dangerous, especially for Jonathan. Tim and Julie had to take drastic measures to protect their son. Tim explained,
as a last resort, just to protect him, we had to tie our door shut. So I guess for the last 3 or 4 months now, we've had to tie her in at night, sort of barricade her.
Beth's attacks on Jonathan were particularly brutal. In one instance, she repeatedly slammed his head against the cement floor in the basement. Julie recalled,
I heard his screams and ran down and had to literally pull her hands off, and she looked wild-eyed.
When questioned about this incident, Beth showed no remorse.
Did you get real mad at him? Did you hit his head real hard? Tell me about it. How many times did you do it? A lot? What was the floor like?
Seen it.
And what happened to your brother? Tell me about it.
His head hurt real bad, but his chin, he had to have stitches in it.
Could you stop? What was your brother doing when you were doing this?
Playing with the toys.
Okay. Was he asking you to stop when you were doing it? What was he saying?
He was saying, Beth, stop.
And what did you do?
That didn't stop. I just kept on hurting him.
What were you thinking when you were doing that?
Thinking of killing him.
How did you stop? What made you stop?
When I heard Peter walking across the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
It made me stop because I thought Mommy and Daddy would come.
Okay. Did Mommy come? What did she do?
She sent me to my room.
Okay. And what if Mom didn't stop you? What would you have done?
Kept on doing it.
Dr. Maggot examined Beth and found she had serious mental health issues. He suggested Beth should live apart from her family for a while. In April 1989, Beth moved to a special care center. This place was for children who had trouble forming close bonds with others. The staff there knew how to help kids like Beth, especially those who might hurt themselves or other people. One of the specialists at the facility explained the gravity of the situation.
I have children that have killed numerous times. Cold-blooded family members, neighbor children killed them. And they can do it. Makes my blood run cold just thinking about 9 years old. People don't think a 9-year-old is capable of cold-blooded murder, but they are. That attachment break does severe damage to the heart, the ability to care and the ability to love. If they don't care and they don't love, they're capable of anything.
The treatment approach at the facility was highly structured and strict. The specialists described their methods.
We're very strict about everything. Everything is completely monitored. We take complete control because a child who's unattached does not trust. And because they don't trust, they don't allow anybody to be boss of them. So we take complete control. They are not boss of anything. They have to ask to get a drink of water. They have to ask to go to the bathroom. They have to ask to leave our site. Part of that is because we cannot trust them because of the damage that they've done before.
The therapy consisted of imposing extreme restrictions on Beth. She had to ask permission for everything, including drinking water and going to the bathroom. Part of the goal was to rebuild Beth's self-esteem so that she perceived herself as a person of value. The specialist Ken McGee explained,
They believe that they're evil. They believe they're from the devil. They believe that they are not a person of value. And we have to change that, and we have to build that from a child who's nothing, who's a bad kid in their own mind, to a child who's valuable and loving, and they see themselves as that.
the therapist worked on building Beth's self-esteem through positive reinforcement.
You don't have to bite this.
When they do a chore well, we can say, you did a good job, you're a good worker. And then it just builds that self-esteem little by little so that they change the way that they see themselves.
Several months into treatment in this controlled environment, Beth had made progress, and her therapist decided to loosen some of the controls. Beth continued to show signs of improvement. She began to develop a sense of right and wrong and seemed to respond to affection. She became more outgoing, went to public school, made friends at the local church, and even sang in the choir. During a visit to the church, Beth was observed interacting with other children and participating in Sunday school activities. She received stickers for her attendance and engagement, showing a more typical childlike behavior.
And you're going to go into Sunday school in this morning?
get stickers. Maybe you could put one on your nose.
The specialist noted the significant changes in Beth's behavior.
In the beginning, we couldn't trust her with anything. She was locked up at night. We had alarms on the door at night, so she wasn't sneaking around doing things with the other children. We don't worry about that anymore. There's no alarm on her door at night now. She sleeps in the same room with my own daughter, and I trust her that much. She brushes the dogs, and I trust her that much. Because she has earned that trust. She's learned it. She has a heart, and she has a love inside, and she feels bad when she does something now. In the past, because she didn't have a conscience, she didn't feel anything when she did something bad. There was just no feeling there. And now she does feel bad, and it shows in her face.
Animal therapy also helped Beth develop empathy. In the controlled environment, she was responsible for feeding various farm animals and seemed to respond positively to the affection she received from them. She laughed and interacted with other living beings and even hugged her therapist. With less than a year of therapy, Beth's attitude changed radically. In a follow-up interview, Beth expressed remorse for her past actions.
Do you know where that anger came from?
That's when my birth dad hurt me. I had it all inside, and I remembered it, and I started doing it.
And what did that do when it was inside you?
It made me want to hurt people really bad.
And who did you hurt?
My brother, my mom and dad, and animals. And animals.
Who did it hurt the most?
My brother.
The therapist probed further into Beth's newfound understanding of her emotions.
How do you feel right now, Beth?
Bad.
It's kind of tough to talk about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Beth's ability to recognize and express the difficulty in discussing her past actions showed significant progress in her emotional development and self-awareness. The specialist working with Beth expressed optimism about her future.
I believe that Beth can make it. She's got a really bright mind. She's got a good heart now, which has done a lot of healing. She's got a really super set of parents. They're powerful, they're knowledgeable, they're motivated. She's done a lot of good work with you in therapy, with Cannell and with myself. She wants to heal, and that's the #1 key. And she wants to heal because she has a family that really cares about her, and she wants to be with them.
Beth got better in many ways. She learned to control her emotions and act more like other kids her age. She joined a church choir and went to Sunday school, showing she could get along with others. The film showed Beth singing with other children, which was very different from earlier scenes where she talked about wanting to hurt people. Tim and Julie, Beth's adoptive parents, worked hard to help her. They learned from experts how to support Beth's recovery, which was key to her improvement. The film showed how important it is to get help early for kids who have been badly hurt or have trouble bonding. By finding out what was wrong with Beth and getting expert help, her new parents may have stopped something terrible from happening. They gave Beth a chance to get better and grow up healthier. Beth's final interview in the film was in December 1989. She had improved a lot, but still needed more help. The film ended with a serious message.
Not all abused children are as deeply scarred as Beth, but all abused children suffer a profound hurt for the rest of their lives. The road to recovery is long and hard for the abused child. There are more than 1 million new victims of child abuse in America every year.
The documentary about Beth Thomas, titled Child of Rage, became a powerful educational tool for professionals working in child psychology, social work, and related fields. In the years following the documentary, Beth's story continued to evolve. As an adult, Beth pursued a career in nursing, specializing in caring for children who have experienced trauma. Her professional achievements included several awards for her work in the field.